Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to the first ever episode of the Mentalverse, where we discuss the deeper world of psychology within the greater world of esports.
We're so happy to be collaborating with Kumiho Esports. We have the lovely Christina joining us, and Nadim and myself from Goat Academy. We're here to discuss how psychology and esports meet. Now, this happened because the world of esports is expanding and it's becoming way more competitive, and the need to perform is getting higher and higher, not just on players, but on also the organization, team members, the staff. So, to do this, psychology has stepped in to improve this performance, and we're going to tackle this throughout this episode.
Psychology, once upon a time, was part of philosophy until it decided in the 1800s to branch out. Of course, with the influence of people such as Gustav Peschner, who created the judgment theory, and of course, influential figures such as Sigmund Freud with his psychology theories and experiments, William James, Jean Piaget, Ivan Pavlov, and Carl Rogers, and many, many others. The world of psychology changed our views everywhere. It influenced a lot of aspects, and it's constantly evolving as human beings evolve. Of course, not only that, but as time progresses, many of its aspects are following up with a lot of things that are influencing our lives. Eventually, so many branches were created from the hands of psychology. Now, as time progressed, new theories came into action, and of course, so did new branches of psychology came to existence. Of course, we got the business psychology, which influences the company itself and how it works with its employees, and also how it works with external, which means the communicating with the clientele and the market itself, and so forth. We got the sociological aspects, which revolve around how to communicate with people, whether it is an individual, a group of people, and of course, how the society it influences evolves. And of course, we got the social media aspects, which is a world of its own. We got the sports and esports psychology, which of course revolves around the players, how they communicate with one another, how these positive and negative energies reflects on the play and the performance, the coaches, how they impact the players, and altogether it influences a great image of what esports and sports psychology looks like. Now, these above are all branches that are connected within the world of esports. And as time progresses, of course, these things progress and evolves, and more branches or probably sub-branches will come to existence.
One of the first things that we have to say is that sports psychology has come to the world of esports to stay. Sports psychology studies the context, personality, and the education of emotions for both players and coaches, with the aim to enhance strengths and minimize weaknesses. Taking into account this information, we found that there are two concepts in the sport atmosphere. One is the emotional intelligence and the other is emotional education. Both look and sound similar, but have some differences. As for intelligence, we have to say that the concept has evolved over the years and have been approached from different perspectives. It is said that since the second half of the 19th century, there is a great interest in investigating the knowledge of intelligence, thus producing great advances.
Emotional intelligence, before we get to it, we'll say that emotional education and emotional of their own. But do stay tuned for those. Now, we'll be talking emotional education and emotional intelligence in a small version. Now, emotional intelligence defined. In the old days, a lot of people wrote and spoke about emotion, but it was never truly captivating enough to grab the audiences. Until the year 1990, when an article was written by the hands of Mayer and Salovey, but it didn't pique people's curiosity enough to garner enough attention from a global sensation. However, 5 years after 1990, a doctor in psychology from Harvard University by the name of Daniel Goldman decided to write a book about emotional intelligence, and from this day forward it became quite the huge sensation and it became quite a success. And from that day forward, emotional intelligence became quite the thing, with experiments and ideas and constant changes. Of course, what is emotional intelligence? Emotional intelligence brings a lot of aspects together, be it the self and others, how we view ourselves and comprehend ourselves, and how we control that self, and how it impacts our environment, and at the same time, how this self, all what emotions, impacts and influences others. And that actually impacts a lot of things in our daily life: emotions, society, social aspects, it in the work environment, in our daily life, it impacts everything.
Since we just defined what emotional intelligence is, let's talk about some of its benefits. One of the benefits is problem solving skill, where players have to take critical decisions within games to turn the tide of the game to their favor, or they have to make critical decisions in split seconds. Sometimes it's up to reflexes. So they have to understand where they fit in the grand scheme of things in order to shift the game in their favor. Another benefit would be communication skills, right?
In this case, you have been talking about to problem solving, and it is essential to have a good communication skills to solve problems, right? So I think it is essential that players and also coaches, even staff, have a good communication with each other, and also to try to have a good atmosphere while they are working. In this case, tournaments and competitions, players and coach may feel under pressure, so it is essential to develop or to control our emotion while we are talking with each other. So I think it is essential to work with emotional intelligence with all of them. And another of the components that we have to say that emotional intelligence help to players and coach and even the staff is the reducing stress. So, Nadim?
Right. So, of course, reducing stress requires a person to know themselves. When a person is able to know themselves, they're able to pinpoint the techniques and the methods needed to reduce stress. Of course, daily lives are full of events that causes us stress. Even in esports, world of esports, competitive field, stress does exist. And a player who's able to know themselves in a lot of aspects, which techniques, which methods, and which approaches they need to do to reduce that stress, whether it is taking a break, walking, taking a vacation, any technique can be used. Know yourself, it could help you reduce.
Emotional education appeared for the first time in the Journal of Emotional Education in 1966. The concept was defined by different researchers. Firstly, this type of education or method started in the schools, but nowadays professionals can adapt it to different areas, in this case, in esports. There are different definitions, as I said, but we choose Pisquera. He said that emotional education is an educational innovation whose purpose is to develop emotional skills to improve personal and social well-being. Also, emotional education intends to respond to all those social needs that are not tended to informal education. Vizquera highlights several problems in people to be treated through this field of education, such as low self-esteem, depression, stress, anxiety, violence, among others. We see that some of those problems are seen with the field of gaming and esports as well. In this case, we could relate it with the toxic behavior.
Now, toxicity in the world of esports is a plague. All players, be it the professional player and the casual player, because it adds a lot of problems, whether it is for the self or for others. The self being patient, anger, this kind of thing causes us to focus, while also causing negative feelings towards others, cyberbullying, trolling and harassment, causing them also lose focus. Competitive scene, that kind of behavior, absolutely not favorable at all. Also not recommended. Also, it puts both the team and the player in a very bad image. Those kind of things a lot of people don't want to be. Nobody wants to see their star player raging, tilting, and getting angry both at the teammates or even causing problems and conflicts. Don't you think, James?
True. You want to have players, even the staff members, maintain their cool, be able to identify when they're tilting, when they're being toxic to others, and most importantly, to understand the negative impact of toxicity. Now, gaming companies, those who create competitive games, have been able to actually limit the level of toxicity. But it's also up now, it's more importantly up to psychologists working within esports to remedy this from the root cause, because you can't have that in a competitive. So what is your opinion on this matter, Chris?
Okay, I agree with you about what you said. I think it is essential to know ourselves and to know when we are doing well while we are in competition, no, or how are our reactions. So I think it is essential that psychology helps the players and also the coach and even the staff. So I think we have been talking about two concepts that needs to be very present in esports. And yes, I think that those concepts give different strategies to control our emotions. So I think it is essential for everyone, no? At least while they are under pressure, they usually can feel um, like tired or maybe angry or whatever. Not, but so I think it is essential to work with this. No? So yeah, I agree with you guys.
I agree.
I couldn't say.
I agree.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I
I mean,
agree.
imagine somebody in the middle of a tournament grabs a keyboard and
Mm,
throws it out the window. Nobody wants to be in that situation.
And having that
yeah.
as a teammate would be terrible.
Ugh.
Yeah, they need to control themselves to don't damage no their professional profile, because it is very important your profile, no, or how you are shown to people, no? So
Yeah, imagine if you're relocating to a first thing people feels very fast.
So we learned about what psychology is and what emotional intelligence is and emotional education and how they fit together in the world of esports. And it's the glue that ties together the team, or at least it's part of the cohesion for the team, where it brings together players, teammates, and staff and coaches together to work and collaborate.
well, psychologists, as we have said, work closely with coaches. They are crucial members of the team, can provide insights to the team during a live game, and also have the most influence over individual players. I will say that coaches are the main pillar of the team. This is the same like in traditional sports. No, the head coach is like the most important person in the team, and players have to follow him, no, or maybe follow their advices. Also, it is essential that the psychology help the head coach or coaches in this case in esports, because they are under pressure the whole time, because their directive only wants results, no, for this reason they need the help of the psychologists to follow some strategies to can manage their own emotions. And this is the same or similar to the players too.
Goes to show you
So
that having a coach psychology on a scale, having a psychologist third perspective. We got the players, of course. We got the coaches who's watching the players, and we got the psychologist who's watching both the coaches and the players. That makes it so the psychologist, with their knowledge in the field of psychology, able to pinpoint not just the players if they did a but also if the coach is mismanaging techniques or unable to certain psychological duties. That is why a psychologist is really a critical role, just as important as a coach. Because while a coach is directly influencing the players, the psychologist is more of an observer. With his experience, he's able to see all things, all aspects, all perspectives from both players and coach.
So to wrap this up, we discussed in this episode what psychology is, how it created two byproducts, which are emotional intelligence and emotional education, and how psychologists are the mental superheroes who are bringing all of those benefits from those two byproducts into the world of esports. They're able to allow players and coaches and staff members as well to manage their stress, identify stresses with other people, frustrations, communicate properly, which is something very important because it adds a lot of cohesion within the team, and ultimately it helps them manage their own emotions.
So For the future episodes, we will discuss in depth about emotional intelligence and emotional education, of course, in the area of esports. So please don't miss it and stay tuned.
Yeah.
See you.